We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are
Watching.
If an item does not appear in our records, it does not exist.
For Illuminati.
the Holocron.
Welcome to the Holocron Hoard Illuminati podcast. It's Adam and Greg today. We're here to talk about a very popular 2015 set you may all know and love called Moment's Edge. Now, Greg, I'm sure you collected the shit out of this back in the day.
Yeah, it was an exciting set to play around with. It was really fun because it had like this intensity and this urgency about it, that the name implies. I don't know, it sounds kind of horny actually, but it had this urgency about it. The mechanic was built that way to get you really excited because they had pretty stiff odds for a couple of the different variants. There's only 3 variants to begin with. We had red, we had silver, and then we had black. And black was kind of like the Mac Daddy. That one was limited. The silver and they were really weird. It was a lot going on. So the silver was a 24-hour. Because it was a daily drop. It would come once a day.
Right.
And so you had 24 hours for the silver. Then you had the black, which was limited to 500. And so the assumption was that the black was going to be the hardest one because it had the longest odds and stuff like that. But in a couple of cases, that turned out to not be the case. There was a notable exception because of a strange thing that happened in a drop. And then you had the red, which was what everybody was after. So there was something really for everybody there, but the odds were pretty steep.
Yeah, I was looking at those odds, and I came across some stuff, and I'm looking, it's like red was 1 in 30. And, we don't see those types of odds today in the app. And then I saw that the silver metal kind of color was 1 in 50. And then to top it all off, the black was 1 in 100.
Yeah.
And those were in master packs.
Yeah, you had to get the master access would help you. You could only get the black in the master access. So you basically had to pony up 99 cents that day, which you were going to want to do because you were going to burn a shitload of coins trying to chase these things down. I did not do black in the day, but I did go for the silver when these came out. And I hated myself about the 3rd or 4th day of it. It was, I questioned my choices a lot.
Yeah, and kind of before we get into like some of the ins and outs of those, let's talk about the cards themselves first, because that's what really people were attracted to these, because quite honestly they're gorgeous cards.
Yeah, and the pack art right off the bat just let you. I don't think the Boba Fett was the first one, but
I believe it was the Leia. Was it the Leia?
I think so, yeah. And the Boba Fett, everybody knew was coming because it was on the pack art, and it was fucking badass. Boba Fett with flames shooting out of his rocket pack and stuff. And the art on
this one?
Yes.
If you're on our YouTube feed, you'll see that we've got Boba Fett right there.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous card. The one you're showing is actually a navy because they went back to the well on these things again and again and again because they looked really great, So they just kept going back at them. So the everybody was chasing the red, and the weird mechanic in this thing really ties into something that doesn't happen in the app anymore and hasn't worked in a long time. A lot of people that are new to the app or newer to the app, even from mid 2016, the notifications in the app used to really work great.
Yeah.
So when a trade was accepted or something, anything that happened in the app, there was an event sound, and usually you'd get a little R2D2 would beep at you if a trade was accepted, and you got to run back and open the app to see what just happened. And so
oh shit, what happened?
Get a little banner or something to telling you something was going on in the app, and it kept you really excited and engaged in the app. And with Moment's Edge, you would get a notification. It's a hot moment, and basically the hot moment, they called it, was an hour. So way to raise the bar on us guys, jerks. But it basically for an hour you would have reduced odd packs available. So if you missed those hot hours, if you missed those notifications, you were kind of fucked because the odds were rough, as we said.
Yeah, and they were what, halved during the hot moments?
Even less. The
Yeah.
typical odds for the red was 1 in 30. During hot
Mhm.
moments, they were 1 in 10.
Oh wow.
So they were really very drastically reduced. And so that was the time to go. If you were going to try to collect the set, that was the time to do it, was during the hot moments, during those hours. And so you get this notification telling you it's hot moments time. Drop everything, get in there and start railing some packs so you can get in there and get your daily on this thing.
For sure.
And you never knew when they were going to be. That was the other thing. They didn't tell you up front, oh, okay, today at 5:30, it's going to be hot moments. You never knew when it was going to be. It would just all of a sudden drop everything,
Mhm.
get on it.
And there was a lot of that in the app back in the day. Between these Moments Edge, you had green and orange drops, you had the original CTI drops, which are like what, 5-10 minutes at a time, something crazy like that. So you had to be on the ball to get these. And they were, I mean, literally everyone dropped what they were doing and they got into the app to try and get these reduced odds.
Yeah.
And if you were lucky enough to get one, you could ask for almost the world at the time. If you pulled something like this Leia that I'm showing on the YouTube feed right now, it is a gorgeous card, and it's one that, man, people came after mine for a while, and I ended up trading this card away multiple times over the years, and it works. It's such a they're such nice looking cards.
Yeah, the art style throughout them was unified, had the same artist through all of them. So they all looked really good together on the sheet. And as you were going through the set, the set just got better and better. So here were the odds now and the
Okay.
the limitations on, because the reds were limited to 3,500, which today seems like an astronomical amount. But these routinely sold out in 1 or 2 drops during the hot moments, and that was it for those. And then all that would be left would be the silvers for the 24-hour, which they were very smart to make have that out there. So if people were going to try to do that, maybe they can pull a silver and trade back into a red, or the black, which were limited to 500 and master access only. So yeah, the reds at 3,500 count, those were 1 in 30 for regular odds. You could buy that pack anytime during the day and waste all your coins trying to get it. The metal was 24-hour, and that was 1 in 50. And that was master access only as well. And then the black was 500 count, 1 in 100. Now during the hot moments, those would go down to red at 1 in 10, metal at 1 in 25, and black at 1 in 50. So black was still a monster. I mean, that was like, we're talking, vintage odds. Was 1 in 50 back in those days, and that was a lot to have to try to pull, especially on a daily basis. So it really was a baller set. So there was a lot of excitement around it for the duration of the set. It wasn't a huge set, but it went on for days and days and days. And those were the back in the days when everything was #long haul.
Yeah. For sure. And one thing I remember too is that of these Moments Edge cards, there were ones that obviously people didn't want to give up, and there were lots of roadblocks for those completing the set, that Leia being one of them, because everyone pulled a day one, and then normal attrition happens and people drop out of the set. But still, there's so many of these character collectors, the Boba Fett's, the Leias, the Vaders, that people didn't want to give those up because that's their character, and that's a gorgeous looking card in all variants.
Well, ironically, one of the rarest cards I was talking about, how, and you're saying as well, there were cards that were roadblocks in the set.
And I know which one you're going to mention here, but go ahead.
The Silver Stormtrooper.
Stormtrooper.
That was the one that busted everybody's ass, and I can't remember exactly what happened with that one, but it is, of the regular release cards, that's the shortest one, is 386 count. There was cards that all went to 500 and sold out. The next closest one is the Boba Fett black. The rest of all the blacks all sold out at 500. But here's this oddball silver sitting at the top of the stack if you sort by count, that sold out really low. And I can't remember exactly why that was or what it was that happened that caused that one to be low. There had to have been it may have been Vintage Thursday that
That's
day.
what I was thinking. I was thinking, was this a vintage Thursday card
These-
where everyone just ran out of coins trying to pull whatever happened to be that day? Probably Lobot or something stupid, but it was probably one of those vintage cards. And especially cross traders, they used to save up their coins for vintage, and something like this hot moment comes up, and they're like, "F that, I'm saving it for vintage."
Yeah. So I can't remember exactly what it was, but it was one of those oddball things. We saw the same kind of thing in CTI Series 1 with the Ayla Secura, where just something weird happened with that drop that resulted in that one oddball card in the middle that wasn't the staggering. It wasn't a horrible card. It was just something happened there that resulted in it being such a lower count versus all the other ones in the set. So it's one of those oddball things that used to happen back in 2015.
For sure. And once that set was over, that wasn't the last we saw of Moment's Edge.
Oh
We
God,
saw
no.
these cards come up multiple times.
Yeah, but they
And
just came. I mean, they were still putting them out last year. we
yeah,
just saw one of those cards recently in the prototype of Frenzy. The very first real Frenzy we ever saw was that Chewbacca card in gold that
yeah,
they dropped, and you had to gather up as many as you could or open as many as you could during that time. It just went by on the screen there if anybody's watching on YouTube. But they go back to that a lot, and then they also did a open edition version which sits in the commons with a white border on those. And then they also use some of them in black box releases that we saw, like for the different the Emperor black box and stuff had a Moment's Edge card in it as well.
Yeah, and as you alluded to at the beginning, the Navy set, which was a variant set it was a set of sets where all the cards, they put a special bluish border on it called a Navy, even though most of them weren't Navy, and they threw those into one set, and that's where the blue Boba Fett comes from.
Yeah,
which you won't find in the app in the set view under Moment's Edge. That would be under Navy.
yeah, it's odd. They've gone back to that well a lot of times, and I don't know from the source art if there was anything else missing. Possibly could show up again, but it was kind of a fun mechanic. I think in retrospect, looking back at the time, it was really kind of maddening to have to be on the app at that time. Like when it hit, man, it was like blowing a whistle, throw the baby down and start cracking packs. So sorry about our baby. She's okay.
Well, what's funny too is in researching the the Moment's Edge stuff, that was at a time when everyone was wrapped up tighter than a drum about open edition, myself included. I hated open edition, and they threw out these open editions into these what they called insert grab bags, where they told people get a bunch of inserts for a fixed price, maybe 50 or 100,000 coins. I don't remember exactly, but they included Moment's Edge white, 77 teals, and probably TK helmets. And I found this tweet. I'm not going to say the name, but I'll say the tweet. It basically says, Jesus fuckballs, Moment's Edge open edition. I gotta hate this fucking app. And it's true. I mean, those cards.
I'll say the name. That's Casper 11.
He knows.
He knows what he did.
But that's from 2016, and here we are. Right before the app conversion to the new build, those were still spitting out of packs, and those counts on those white, as we went into the new build, counts were revealed, and we can see now that those white open editions are in the 43,000 count range.
Even the award Yoda is in the 30,000 range.
In the 30s. And what's funny about that is because they re-released the set as an open edition to buy multiple times, every time they'd put a new award deadline further out into the future, everyone that had the set once would get an award again. So I have 2 awards. I know I've traded away at least 2 awards, and that's why that Yoda is so high, because that award kept getting reissued over and over and over and over again. So that's why it's almost as high as the open edition inserts themselves.
Crazy.
So if anyone wants to make a white open edition Moment's Edge set, you can probably do
It's
that
real
very
easy.
easily. There are a lot of people in the feed for 9 whites a piece. I know
Yeah.
I've still got 4 and 5 of a lot of these.
That's like your entry level drug addiction, because they go all the way up to the blacks look really sharp. I
Yeah.
always really liked the art on these, and every night when the new one dropped, it was an exciting time to see what was going to be the new one. And they all looked really sharp together, and I really liked the different variants and stuff like that. And if I spot a quitter, I'm looking to see if they have any, and I'm picking up extras. God damn, I've got like dupes for days on like red. I have like at least 2 complete dupe sets of red, and so many of the blacks, even more of the metals. I have so many of the metals. And it's an approachable set. Even now, the silvers, most of them were at in the 1,000 range, except for that one oddball. If you ever pick up the Stormtrooper silver Moment's Edge, fuck it, go for the set, because you're gonna be able to do it.
Yeah, that and the award, obviously, the Yoda award. Now, one of the things that I want to go back to with this is that gold Chewbacca. That was the first one where that was, like we said, the prototype frenzy that we saw. And that card, all of a sudden they said, hey, start collecting this, open up as many packs as you can. And I believe they were 1 in 5. And you either got a white base or a Chewbacca. Counts on that, I believe, are close to 90,000. So if you're a new player and don't have one, real easy to pick one up for 9 white base from just about anyone that has multiples, and people have multiples. Now, what they did with that is this was their kind of first foray into frenzies, where they said, okay, the people with the most at the end of, I believe, a 2 or 3 hour window get X number of crystals. And people were losing their minds over this, because as we learned later on in frenzies, you don't just open up and casually peruse which card you got. You open, close, open, close, open, close. And I remember that there were so many people bitching in the feed for that when they issued the award, because
it's not
they're like,
fair. They didn't look at their
said,
cards. What are you talking
said,
about?
I didn't know I didn't have to wait. I didn't know I had to wait until it all loaded. I didn't know I could do that. That's not fair. And I believe it was our favorite 2-for-1 person that we always see complaining about that.
Oh, is it my time to say somebody's name again, Jedi Miller?
Maybe.
I'll just bust everybody. I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. So that was the first foray into frenzies, and gosh, I really miss frenzies right now in the new build.
No, you don't, because it would blow up.
It would destroy the new build.
Yeah, there's no way. There's no way this build could handle a frenzy right now. You can't handle it.
Yeah, it would absolutely annihilate it. So I mean, they got to do what they got to do. But man, I miss just opening packs all day, and then at the end of the day, you're like, oh yeah, I picked up 8,000 white base cards for my Hoard. That's an element of the game that's missing right now, and we can all thank Moment's Edge Chewbacca for that.
Yeah. I don't blame Chewbacca for anything. He's innocent.
No.
Angel baby, and I love him. And I want to hug him. Yeah. So the question we always end up asking about these blasts from the past is this something that they should do again? And unfortunately, the way the app works and the way that their notification system doesn't work, I honestly don't believe that they could do a Moment's Edge type set. No. With any great success, especially after seeing what just happened with Vintage.
There's no way.
If they had several points during a day where everybody was hammering packs, it would just be a bloody nightmare, and it would take everything down. I can't see how they could possibly do that. But it's a great set, and I look at it now and I really like it a lot. I love the artwork. I love how they all look together. The variants are not overboard. They had a great pack art too. It just went by a second ago. If you're watching on YouTube, the pack art was amazing for that one. So I don't know. Sadly, I don't think it's the kind of thing that could happen again.
Yeah. The other question you ask is, was it cool? Undeniably.
Yeah.
Great set, great art, great. The borders worked. You can argue against the white open edition, but for the most part, the borders the red look great, the metal look great, the black look great. Even the gold and the blue that they did for the variants looked amazing as well. Yeah, but I just don't see a repeat of this moment in the app.
Well, it's sad too because now more and more now we see these kind of cookie cutter copy paste character picture sets, and we don't see sets that have like this that have really nice artwork that are clearly all from the same artist hands, and they all go together. And even though they had borders, the way that they did it and the design of the cards was really nice, and they all looked really good. And they didn't go crazy. It wasn't 7 fucking variants like they do now. 3 was it, and they were, it was a pretty limited one. Who knows how limited one, and then the one for everybody to collect that was still not an astronomical amount. I mean, the counts. Look at the shit we're seeing right now, like with this motion vintage that just came out. That's in the tens of thousands already since Saturday. 3,500 seems like a really sane number when laid up against that kind of craziness.
Well, if you think that's the difference between 1 in 30 or even 1 in 10 and 1 in 3 in 1,500 credit packs versus 1 in 30 and 5,000 credit packs. Could this app today with the current environment sustain a drop like this daily? I don't think so. I don't think there'd be enough trading partners to be had to make this set, enough people cross-trading to make it the success it originally was. Could they do something similar with nice artwork and nice borders? Absolutely. Would it be a hot moment? Would it be a event like this was daily? No. And that's sad.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of lightning in a bottle. It's something they never went back to this type of mechanic again. But for the time, it really worked. And, it was in the heyday. Things were really, they were popping. This was like October 2015 when this thing went down. And so they were like, just still, all the marathons were still going and stuff like that. And it was just hot shit. Look out. Everything's crazy right now. They had thousands and tens of thousands of people playing at that time, active players. And it was really before a lot of the first crash. And man, that build could fucking handle it. It was a baller build. I mean, we look at what we have now, this modern technology, and it can't handle shit compared to what this thing used to just get absolutely hammered with on a nightly basis with this thing. It's crazy.
I mean, you'd see the occasional blips with vintage and some of the other bigger drops, but I mean, today it seems like someone sneezes on it and the app just goes into maintenance mode.
The whole thing goes down. It sucks.
Yeah.
Hey,
that ring means it's time to wrap it up.
I guess so. Yeah, we have a timer on the Holocron now, and that wasn't just the house phone that Adam forgot to turn the fucking ringer on. It's all part of the plan, and we got this.
I'm throwing shit across the room. It's fine.
We got technology too, guys.
Yeah,
we got technology too. So
and the machine. Why do we have a landline still?
I don't know. Nobody calls me. I want to talk to.
Yeah, I'm sure that was bullshit too.
Yep.
No.
So Moment's
Yay.
Edge. That was it. That was Moment's Edge. Thank you for
Moment's Edge.
Yeah.
Thank you for calling me random telemarketer.
Joining the podcast.
Yeah.
Sure. They wanted to buy your house or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So be sure to follow us at Hoardcast on Twitter, Stitcher, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts. If you'd like to join in the fun, call 904-628-1138, not my house phone, 904-628-1138, and hoardcast@gmail.com.
I could route all the calls to your home phone. I can do that. I can set that right up for you, Adam. Anybody that calls will go straight to Adam's house.
You don't know that number. It's fine.
Oh, I have your number. They'll call your cell phone.
You got my cell phone number.
You made a mistake.
It's true, folks. It's true.
You overshared.
Yeah. So
you fucked up. You trusted us.
Yeah. Trust is something I'll never do again. Never again.
Yeah.
Never again. No. Nope.
It's always going to go bad. Can we end this? Are we done?
Fuck it. Finish it. We'll see you next time on the Holocron.
Arrivederci. Thank you for listening.
We are Legion.
We are all.
We are one.
We are.
Watching.
Every item does not appear in our records. It does not exist.
For Illuminati.